Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. 3 more people who tested positive for COVID-19 in Saskatchewan have died. One of those was a person in the 60 to 69 age group in the Northwest Zone. There are 56 new cases in the province, including 2 in our zone. No new cases were reported in the immediate Lloydminster area, where we have 34 active cases. 165 people are in hospital, with 12 of those in our zone, 2 of which are in intensive care. More than 53,000 vaccine doses have been given. The Lloydminster RCMP's 2020 statistics are in, and as Eric Bay reports, the pandemic is reflected in the numbers.
2020 saw a big change in the Lloydminster RCMP's numbers due to the pandemic, with car accidents significantly lower than previous years, but there was another, more concerning change. RCMP responded to 519 calls under the Mental Health Act, a 33% increase over 2019.
This is a concern I hear weekly in our mayor's calls in Saskatchewan and bi-weekly calls in Alberta. It's a concern in every community, and certainly COVID has added to the stresses in schools, in homes, and workplaces.
Health falls under the care of the provinces, and Mayor Albers has had continuing talks with ministers in both Alberta and Saskatchewan.
Both ministers are quite aware of the concerns we have in our city, and we do challenge the system because of our bi-provincial nature. So them working together and ensuring that adequate resources are put to our city and area to help support us is very important.
Prevention has been a priority for the RCMP, monitoring habitual offenders, which nearly tripled failure to comply cases.
Then we get into prolific offenders, and this has been ongoing for some time and continues to show results that they sit down with prolific offenders and say, we can help you change the way you're doing things and go on to a different lifestyle, or the full force of the law will be brought down.
Vehicle theft dropped by over 100 cases, but persons crimes, which includes assault and harassment, increased for the 4th consecutive year. Eric Bay, Primetime Local News.
Today is Pink Shirt Day, an annual event where people are encouraged to wear pink to take a stand against bullying. Schools in Lloydminster put a special focus on kindness in the lead up to Pink Shirt Day. Jace Mackey has more on the Kindness Win activities that took place this year.
Today is Pink Shirt Day, a day of anti-bullying, and it's also the culmination of the Kindness Wins campaign that's been going on all month here in Lloydminster during February. So check in to see what's been going on at Bar Colony School. I'm joined today with the Vice Principal of Bar Colony School, Pam Mathers. Thank you so much for taking some time to talk with me today.
I'm glad to meet with you, Jace.
So obviously Pink Shirt Day is happening on Wednesday. So you mentioned earlier before we started that there wasn't very much going on the actual day of Pink Shirt Day, but is there anything happening at Bar Colony School?
Yeah, there sure is. Unfortunately, of course, with COVID, we can't have all our guest speakers that we would normally have come in. We are doing some things virtually, but rather than focusing on kindness just one day this month, we've been focusing on kindness for the entire month of February. And so one of the things that we've been fortunate enough to receive is we've received the Kindness Wins grant, and that's from the Beyond Borders Circle of Change group. And with that grant, what we did is we purchased some cards. And so just, I have a few here. Just a little note card like this that might have a nice little picture on the outside, and it's blank on the inside, or it might have room for a message on the outside and then room for a kind message on the inside. So we purchased 1 card per student in the school, and then each class has picked a group of people that they want to reach out to, share kindness with. And we've been talking about how kind words matter. And so on Kindness Day, on Pink Shirt Day, some of our classes are going to be sharing what they made with other people. We have a grade 6 class. They chose to write their cards to residents at Point West. It's actually a class that last year, before COVID, they were able to go visit with the residents at Point West. And when the teacher brought the idea to them who they would like to write to, the kids decided they really wanted to write to their buddies at Point West. So tomorrow they're going to walk to Points West, and they're going to deliver their cards, and then a few games and puzzles to the residents there as a way to show kindness to them. Some other classes chose to spend some of the money on this sounds really funny, but popsicle sticks. So I'm just going to show you some of them. So we call them positive popsicle sticks. And so on one side, it might just have some fancy colors, but then on the other side, there's a positive message. So I can help others, or I believe in myself. So those will be given to younger students in our school. So some of the older students created the positive popsicle sticks to be able to give them to the younger students. And hopefully what we'll see is a lot of pink tomorrow.
Obviously, Pink Shirt Day started a while ago, and
Yes.
here in Lloydminster, I think it's kind of taken on a life of its own, and that the Kindness Wins campaign goes on all throughout the month. How important is it, do you think, to be able to have a day, not just a day, but also make it an entire month, and not just focus on anti-bullying, but focus on the idea of kindness?
Yeah, and I like that it says Kindness Wins. I guess you can't see my shirt, but it's one of the co-op versions of the Kindness Wins shirt. And that's something I was reflecting on before I knew I was going to speak with you, Jace, is how proud I am of our community, because I know that Pink Shirt Day is something that a lot of schools do. There might be some businesses across Canada that participate in Pink Shirt Day, but I believe that the community of Lloydminster has really taken hold of this and made it not just a day, but an event that is a community-driven event, so that when kids are going home and talking about Pink Shirt Day, their parents are also talking about it. Because if they're filling up with gas at the co-op gas station, they're seeing the shirts there. And it's very much something that is very alive in our community. We chose to focus on it for an entire month. To be honest with you, to be able to help students with their own wellness and their own self-esteem. We firmly believe that for children to have a strong sense of resiliency, being kind and generous to others is really crucial. Having a sense of belonging. So for our older students that are making note cards or positive sticky notes or the positive popsicle sticks for younger students, they're creating a sense of belonging for themselves and the younger students within our school community. And then being kind and generous to other people within our community is what some of our older students are doing by taking cards to Points West and taking another class delivered cards to the Dr. Cook residents as well.
I came to Lloydminster last year and got to see the Kindness Wins campaign last year and go to schools, LPSD and LCSD schools, to see all the different stuff that you guys do during the month of February. Obviously, things were a little different this year because of COVID, but how happy are you to be able to see that Kindness Wins continues even in uncertain times?
Absolutely. It's really important, especially at a time like this when there are so many big worries. Parents have big worries, staff have big worries, and kids have big worries. So what we really focused on for this month was sharing joy, finding ways that you can give to others. I think so much of our wellness has to do with having a sense of purpose. And for some of our older students, be able to serve our younger students by cheering them up with a kind message. For some of our younger students, I noticed that there was a bulletin board outside one of the classrooms. They've been talking about what they're doing at home and what they do in order to help out and be kind to their family members. And just having kids reflect on that and thinking of positives during this time is really important.
Thank you so much, Pam, for taking some time to talk with me today.
This year with COVID-19, schools are offering virtual open houses. And in this week's Beyond the Classroom, we take a look at how the open house will showcase kindergarten with their registration next week.
I'm joined here today with Jody Brumman and Lisa Bender, and they are kindergarten teachers at Rendell Park School. Now this year, parents can participate in a virtual open house. So can you just give some background into this?
All right, so all of our schools in the division are hosting a virtual open house as we're just not able to have everybody in right now. So everybody is doing it similarly. They're all going to be on Zoom. For our school, for Rendell Park, you have to call the office and register, and then we'll send you the link out so we know who's going to be attending. I know at some of the other schools, like College Park, for instance, they sent an email out to all of their families inviting anybody that had a kindergarten age student coming up, and there's a link for the Zoom meeting, and they can click on and join in that evening. They're all running next week in the evenings. Ours is on Thursday at 6:30, and they shouldn't overlap. So.
And when parents do sign up, how will it work?
They'll get to meet us, the kindergarten teachers. They'll be able to learn a little bit more about our program and what we're all about here at Rendell Park, our kindergarten programs. We have 2 kindergarten classes, and they'll be able to ask questions and get a little bit of insight of what their child is going to expect come fall.
That what happens next. So this is kind of the first step as far as coming, meeting us, seeing what the program's about. And then after you register your child, what happens after that? So we go through those steps as far as, okay, so welcome, here we are. This is what we believe, this is what we do. And then we look at orientation. So that's an opportunity for the kids to come and spend a little bit of time in the school. That will look a little bit different as well, most likely, than it usually has, but they will have an opportunity to come in and see what kindergarten is all about at Rendell Park and our other schools in the division. And then they just get a little taste and they're ready to go for the fall.
Yes. And we also have what's called a kindergarten kit here at Rendell Park that is full of supplies to get ready for kindergarten over the summer, some fine motor activities, some ideas for gross motor and social skills. And there's also a pamphlet in there on school readiness skills as well for kindergarten.
And obviously this year with COVID-19, classrooms have changed, but how have we seen that affect kindergarten classrooms?
So we are fairly lucky in the sense that the government has recognized the huge importance of play in the early years. And so the early years programming is exempt or has some different guidelines that we have to follow compared to the rest of the school. So the kids still get to play, they still get to work together in small groups. It's just how we organize those groups and how we keep them in cohorts. We keep them, they play together, they work together. They're masked, which they do amazing with. Lots of cleaning, lots of sanitizing, lots of hand washing. And just, we've had great support from the parents and families as far as if kids aren't feeling well, that they're staying home. And so we've really seen a decrease in kids being sick at school. It's just, there's lots of things that are different, but there's lots of things that are very much the same, and they're getting very similar experiences, lots of play, lots of hands-on, just slightly different than what it would have been in the past.
Mm-hmm. Next week is kindergarten registration. So for parents looking for information, where should they go and what should they do?
They can visit the LPSD website or the Rendell Park website. I think it's also posted on our Twitter and our Facebook pages as well. You can actually register right online. There's a PDF that you can fill out. You can also call the school if you have any questions as well.
Well, thank you both for joining me today.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Beyond the Classroom is brought to you by Lakeland College, home to the most hands-on education in Canada. Apply today and graduate job ready.
Building snow forts is pretty common for most kids during the winter months, but one Lloydminster boy took it to the next level. 11-year-old Sebastian McCarthy created 6 structures in his backyard that included an ice igloo, a snow tower, and an additional 2 snow igloos as part of his school's Winter Carnival competition. Using over 1,000 total bricks of ice and snow and 2 months of 8-hour days worth of labor. McCarthy says there were some challenges to building both that didn't just include the cold weather.
It was a bit of a challenge to angle all the blocks so it could make more of a dome, and this was more of a circle before, and probably the cold weather. -53 was my coldest.
The original structure was just a hill in the backyard, but he was determined to build it bigger, with his parents giving their support to take it further.
I never thought it would get that tall or that big. I started with a hill, and then I cut the hill into blocks, and then they were just impressed, and then they got even more and more impressed as it went higher and higher.
Sebastian plans on recreating these structures next winter. Now our Connor Chan will take a look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks a lot, Jasmine. Taking a look right now at temperatures, -2 right now for us here as our daytime high. So we're getting a little bit colder as we're going to gradually get a little bit colder heading into the weekend here. We could see wind chills back to closer to that -30 range, but it does feel a little bit more like -7 outside. We did wake up a little bit of frost this morning on our windshields there. It was -2, mostly sun and cloud coverage right now. Now, as we take a look here, it's pretty cold for most parts of the area here. We see zeros there in Wainwright, Vermilion, and in Vegreville as well. We see -2s up in St. Paul, Bonnyville, -1 in Cold Lake, 0 degrees in Lac La Biche, 2 degrees for Edmonton right now, -2 in Maidstone, and as well as, in North Battleford, -3 for St. Walburg and Meadow Lake and Green Lake as well, with -10 up at Isle Lacrosse. That we see 1 degree and 0 there in Provost and in Macklin. Now, as we take a look here at temperatures, we could go see overnight tonight in North Battleford, -9. Expected going into 0 tomorrow with some cloud coverage throughout the day. We're going to see a little bit of increased cloud coverage in the area here over the next little bit here. -9 overnight in Cold Lake tonight, going into 0 degrees as well for tomorrow as their daytime high, and -10 for overnight here in Lloydminster tonight, going into 1 degree tomorrow. But with the wind chill that we are going to get, could feel a little bit colder, closer to that -10-ish range there, or a little bit above as we take a look here at the next 3 days. -17 is what it could feel like for tomorrow. We could possibly get some more snow there on Friday at -9 there, and a low there of -9 as well. Heading into the morning, with that wind chill, could feel a little bit more like -22, -25 there on Saturday, what it could feel like with that added wind chill, with the expected daytime high there of -12. But we are going to have a nice sunny day for the most part, sunny and clear, but it's just going to be colder temperatures, as we haven't seen temperatures like that in at least a little bit there, of course, where we did see that span of -50 temperatures back in a couple weeks ago. But that is your weather for now. We'll be right back with more PTLN.
Welcome back. General hospital visits have decreased in the past year, with people hesitant to go due to COVID-19. Our Becca Day looks at how AHS is responding.
I'm here with Dr. Michelle Graham, a cardiologist at the Mazikowski Heart Institute, to talk about Alberta Health Services' campaign to encourage Albertans to seek medical attention if needed. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
So this latest message actually follows up AHS's Listen to Their Bodies campaign. Why the recent push to get Albertans to see their doctors?
I think it's important to remember in the setting of the pandemic that there's more to your health than just trying to make sure that you don't get COVID-19. And we've been getting a feeling that people are neglecting their health and other severe health concerns due to concerns that they're overwhelming the healthcare system, that they might catch COVID, all sorts of different things. And we have the advantage of having COVID start a little bit later in Alberta than it did in Europe. And we have seen what happened in Europe, for example, in Italy, significant reductions in patients coming in with heart attacks. Other places have reported the same thing with strokes, and we started noticing the same thing here. Similarly, the cancer group noticed a decrease in people presenting with cancer type symptoms. And it doesn't mean they don't have cancer, it just means they haven't come to light yet. So I think now is a good time to remind everybody that health is more than avoiding COVID-19.
Absolutely. And how can that hospital visit help in the long run?
So remember, I'm a cardiologist, so I think about acute conditions. So if you have what we call an acute time-dependent condition, such as symptoms of a heart attack or symptoms of a stroke, the faster you get medical attention, the faster you get therapy, the more effective the therapy is, and the more likely you are to end up without a major problem in the end. So, for example, if a patient comes in with heart attack symptoms and they come early enough, we know that after receiving very timely treatment, that a proportion of those people will end up with minimal or even no heart damage as a result of a heart attack. That's what we want to provide to people, that kind of care. But if you delay in coming into the hospital, those chances are markedly decreased, and you're more likely to end up with significant heart damage and the complications that follow with significant heart damage.
You did touch on this already, that some people are choosing to stay away from hospitals during this pandemic in fear that they may catch COVID-19, as well as potentially other reasons for why they're choosing not to go. What would you say in response to that?
I would say that healthcare providers and hospitals are doing their absolute level best to make sure that this is as safe a possible environment, as safe an environment as possible. It is safe to come to the emergency department to seek emergency medical attention. It is much safer than staying at home. Our units are safe. We are all well versed in PPE, and we are doing our very best to keep everybody safe. And fortunately, you'll notice that our COVID numbers are down because everybody is paying attention to those very important healthcare measures that we have to keep in place. But there are times where you have to not stay at home. There are times where you have to come to the emergency department.
And do you have a note at all that you'd like to end off with?
I would just like to remind everybody that, health is more than COVID-19. COVID-19 is very important, but you can't forget the rest of you. And if you are having chest pain, if you are having symptoms of stroke, if you have a lump that needs to be looked at, we are here for you. Please come and see us.
Perfect. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with us, Dr. Graham. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Now here are your stock market prices for today.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
This last 11 months have been tough on many businesses, including junior hockey. The AJHL and WHL have partnered up to launch the Jackpots for Junior Hockey 50-50 to help maintain operations impacted by COVID-19. Evan Kenny has more.
November 21st was the last junior hockey game played in Alberta over 90 days ago. With limited games played, that means limited money for each team. With the Jackpots for Junior Hockey 50-50 presented by Remax, Albertans can now support their team. Through Alberta Gaming, Liquor, and Cannabis, tickets are available online to any Albertan province-wide. In a typical season, the AJHL and WHL would combine for more than 1 million fans, but in each league's return-to-play plan, fans will not be in the stands.
And anything helps at this point. We're going on a year here, and we had a quick start up there in the fall, and the expectation here moving forward, and nobody in the stands. It's where you create your revenue in junior hockey, whether it be the Western League or the Alberta Junior Hockey League, and without that, you keep going the other way. So this is definitely something that's going to help all junior hockey teams out across the province, and we're very, very thankful for it.
Money will be split between the 15 AJHL teams and the 5 WHL in Alberta. WHL teams in the province contribute $56 million annually to the provincial economy and $45 million from the AJHL.
When you consider that we're a fan-dependent league with over 90% of the revenues coming from ticket sales and local sponsorship, you can understand where all of the expenses now are borne by the ownership of those teams.
The foundation of our leagues are our community, and that community support, whether that's billets, our facilities, our community leaders are integral to our operations.
Draws will be held each Friday throughout March.
We've seen some great 50-50s throughout here with the World Juniors and with the Oilers and the Flames, and hopefully that trend continues for this as well.
Evan Kenny, Primetime Local Sports.
Now we're Connor Chan. We'll take a look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks a lot, Jasmine. Taking a look right now, still sitting around that -2 mark right now as we take a look out west, a little bit even in the positives right now. 0 degrees for Red Deer and Athabasca, 2 degrees in Edmonton, 4 out in Edson. We also see 2 degrees in Jasper, 3 degrees also in Whitecourt. A little bit of a wind warning in that Jasper Banff area right now in Alberta. -2 in North Battleford and Saskatoon. So we're still seeing some minuses in Saskatchewan, -3 for Meadow Lake, Prince Albert, and -5 in Melfort right now. Now, as you take a look up north, temperatures still kind of dropping a little bit in that further northern area. In Uranium City, sitting at -17, -18 in Stony Rapids, and we see -17 also for Wollaston Lake, -11 there in La Ronge, and then -9 for La Loche, Buffalo Narrows, and in Flin Flon as well. -13 there for South End. As we take a look here at northern Alberta, -3 for Slave Lake, -5 in Fort McMurray, -1 in Peace River, 2 degrees for Grand Prairie, -12 in High Level, then -16 in Fort Chipeway. Now, as we take a look down south right now in southern Alberta, still positive temperatures there, and 3 degrees for both Lethbridge, Medicine Hat there. As we take a look there, Calgary 1 degree. As I did mention, Banff is also part of that wind warning that's in effect for Alberta right now. -3 in Coronation, but no extreme weather warnings in Saskatchewan to report on at this very moment. -2 in Swift Current, -3 for Kindersley as well. As we take a look there, a little bit further down the road there on that highway, -1 in Moose Jaw, -2 in Regina, -3 in Yorkton, and then -6 there in Estevan. -7 in Winnipeg. As we take a look across the rest of the country, 0 degrees in Quebec City with a little bit of flurries right now, 5 degrees in Toronto, -1 in St. John's, and then 3 degrees there in Halifax. Now, as we take a look here, 6 degrees with some cloud coverage there in Vancouver. Up north in Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories area, they're about in that extreme cold warning as well right now. -22 for them right now with their high, and then -7 in Whitehorse with some flurries happening right now. Now, take a look here tomorrow as we're almost there for the weekend here. 1 degree is our expected daytime high tomorrow. We are going to be a little bit colder. The wind's going to pick up a little bit more, so it could feel a little bit more like -17 tomorrow with that added wind chill. And we'll see 1s in Marway and St. Paul, Bonnyville, and then we'll see 0 there for Cold Lake, 3 degrees in Vegreville. Take a look there. Same kind of results as we move out kind of down a little bit further down the east side there. Maidstone and North Battleford at 1 and 0s for tomorrow there. And then 4 degrees we'll see there in Wainwright, Provost, and in Macklin. Now, as we take a look here at the next 7 days, we are going to possibly see some snow this weekend at -9 on Friday with a 63% chance of some flurries. With the wind chill, we could see a little bit closer to -30 on Saturday, with the -12 being the actual daytime high. -8 on Sunday. Then we get back into warmer temperatures on Monday at that high of 2 degrees, -3 there for Tuesday. And then we'll see 0 degrees there on Wednesday with a low there of -7 with some clear and sunny skies. That is a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more primetime local news after the break.
Welcome back. A local church is serving soup for the soul while preparing for Easter. Tate Laycraft has more in a check-in with Grace United.
Taking the time out of her day to catch up with me is Lana Lane from Grace United Church, and she's here to talk about some of their current programs, from activity bags to a new online class that they're offering. Lana, thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me, Tate.
So to kick things off, what can you tell me about your activity bags? Who are they for, and what might people find in them?
Well, what we decided to do, because we know that it's been tough to gather people together, as one of the reach outs to families, not only in our congregation, but our play school here at Grace United and the whole community, actually, we decided to do a Lenten series. So the next 6 weeks leading up to Easter provided a really great time for us to reach out to families, and we thought we would do it in an activity bag style. So what's happening for the next 6 weeks before Easter is we are going online and we are actually doing a lesson. So we gather kids together after church service for anyone that wants to get online with us. And we share a story, a bit of a faith-based lesson, and then we end with a craft. And our goal with this is to, one, connect the families for sure, but also do that reach out, I think in a time where we're all just needing that connection. And leading up to Easter, what a perfect time to do that, right? When you think of refresh, restart, rebirth, things are going to get nicer outside, things are going to start growing again. There's hope that things are going to get better. So when we look at the lessons that we're trying to share with families, it is about new beginnings. making choices. So choices for us are not always easy. Sometimes we make really good choices, sometimes we make poor choices. But the idea with that is that we always are trying to get better. So new beginnings, making choices, feeling anger. It's okay to feel anger during this time. It's okay to be angry, but to acknowledge the anger and to think of ways that we can get through that anger. Facing fears. This has been a very scary time for a lot of people. And we think adults, we think kids. And so how do we support those kids in facing fears of what's going on in their world, what's going on in their life at home? It's a scary time. So great way to bring families together to look at those key kind of topics that are of concern to them, but also plant hope.
And another way in which Grace is helping to bring people together is through your Soup for the Soul program. Can you just tell me a little bit about that and how it works?
Sure, absolutely. Again, another reach out to people in the community. We decided to gather cohorts. So family members or friends that were together in their cohorts, they've established teams. They come to Grace United on their schedule, so whenever it works for them, and they gather in the kitchen and they prepare soups and healthy, hearty kind of stew, chilies, whatever it may be. Those get housed in containers. So they're about a liter container. We freeze them and they go out to our outreach families. So the individuals that are struggling during this time, people that are living on the streets, people that have come across hard times. So it's for our outreach program specifically on the Wednesday afternoons, but we've branched out a little bit in that if there are some congregation members that are struggling or they've come on some hard times, what a great way to reach out and support them with a hearty container of soup. So it's been a very well-received program, and we've got 6 teams running right now and cooking, once or twice a week, and we are handing out lots of soup. So it's been a very good program for Grace United Church.
And for anyone who's interested in any of your programs, where can they go to learn more?
So if there is somebody in the community that's listening to this and they think that this would be a great activity for their child, age 5 to kind of that 11 or 12, we definitely have some extra bags here at the church, and they could come down and pick one up if they want their child to be part of this program. So we're very excited about it. It airs every Sunday. So for the next 6 weeks, there will be that link. It's a video link on our Facebook page. So the Grace United Facebook page. And people are able to access that video link at any time. So whatever works for families, right?
Thanks so much for doing this, Lana.
You are welcome.
Now we will be taking a look at your pet pad pictures. Thank you to everyone who submitted your pictures to our Facebook page. And we will be giving away a pet pad gift card on Friday.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
Stephanie Dobson is back with us again this week. Stephanie is a local lawyer and mediator, and we've been chatting for several months now about different aspects of divorce. And today, Stephanie, we're talking about marital mediation. Can you tell me exactly what that is?
Sure. So mediation we've covered in another segment, and that's really where I, as a neutral third party, are helping families to resolve their disputes. Divorce mediation, you can think of it as how to get out of a relationship effectively and respectfully. Marital mediation, by contrast, is how to actually stay married and how to stay in a relationship. So it's for families who feel stuck or they feel like they need to reach agreement on how their relationship is going to continue in order to get their relationship either back on track or to stay on track.
So what are some of the topics that marital mediation could end up resolving, Stephanie?
Well, as in any mediation, the topics themselves are always up to the couple. So it's not the mediator's role to come up with the topics. The couple will come to me with issues that they want to resolve. So it might be specific things that are in dispute, or it might just be things that they want to work out for the future. So things like, how is the family going to operate their finances? How is the household going to run? And parenting related things, who's going to do what? What's that division of the roles going to be? And how to effectively communicate. And last but not least, even how to deal with their assets and debts going into the future.
So how would this be different from counseling, Stephanie, when you're doing this type of mediation and discussions? How is that different from going to an actual counseling session?
Sure, and it can be confusing. At the very end of the day, I am a lawyer and mediator. I'm not a counselor. And so therefore, I don't do counseling. What I do is help families in this role is to help families to stay together by teaching them skills and to help them to adjust their behavior to create a solid foundation for them working together into the future. So what they're doing is at the end, they're creating some mutual understandings, and coming out of it, they'll be reaching agreement. So it's concrete, actionable steps as to how they will actually be parenting and managing their relationship into the future. So if you think about it like a rule book, if you're going to be playing a board game and you've got a set of rules that you're both going to be following as you're going through that board game that you're playing, it's the same thing out of marital mediation. So we're going to have a rule book, and this is how the couple is going to basically, with of course a little bit of flexibility, but basically going to be operating their relationship into the future in order to stay married.
So why would couples want to be involved in this as compared to going a different way, Stephanie?
As opposed to going a different way, as in the therapy?
Yeah. What's the advantage, I guess? Why would they want to be involved in marital mediation?
Well, what we want to do is to distinguish it from therapy, and that reaching agreements is what we're trying to do, is to help people to create that really healthy relationship and to stay married.
Now, if families want more information, what is the best way to go about doing this? Because, we've talked about a lot of subjects, Stephanie, and obviously, as you said, this whole thing can be confusing. So if they would like more information, what is the best way to even start getting involved or get a session set up to go through the marital mediation?
So as always, people can go onto our website. So that's henkadivorce.ca, or they can call our office 780-875-2234.
Okay, Stephanie, well, I want to thank you so much for joining us. We've had a lot of people that have come forward with, messaging us or messaging yourselves saying, hey, there's stuff that we want to talk about or we want to learn about. If somebody has something specific for you that they would like you to talk about in an upcoming session, one of these interviews, what's the best way to reach out? Can they just go through the website as well? And are you open to taking suggestions from people about different issues?
Actually, Stacey, that's the entire goal of this series, is to create that engagement and to have people get their questions answered in a simple and easy way, and kind of a fun way a little bit. And we want families to contact us and to tell us what they'd like to hear as far as upcoming segments. So they can go onto our website. There's a contact form on every page of our website, and there's specifically, if you head to the TV series itself, there's all the history of all of our segments with the TV studio, and there's also a contact form on there as well that they can, and that'll reach directly to our office. And I think as well, Stacey, people have been contacting yourself or NewCap through social media to suggest some topics. So I think we're creating some great engagement in the community.
All right, Stephanie, well, once again, thank you for joining us again. I never thought when we started this series that there were so many different aspects involving divorce and mediation, but every week it's been something new and different. So thank you for taking the time as well, because I know this is a very tough area for a lot of families going through it, and especially trying to go it while navigating through a pandemic as well. So it's been very helpful, and just, thank you once again for reaching out so we can get this started and going, and giving people the information that they need to get some of these issues dealt with.
Yeah, and you know what, Stacey, it's interesting you say that because we had started out just with thinking that this was going to be, 2 or 3 segments, that sort of thing, and then it gained in popularity, and you and I have had a lot of fun doing it. So thank you again for having me.
All right, thanks, Stephanie, and we will talk to you again next week.
Okay, thank you.
Joining me today for Primetime Local News is Trisha Hunter with BPC Services. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very good. So BPC Services has been nominated for the Alberta Business Awards of Distinction 2021. Can you explain what this award is?
So it's part of the Alberta Chamber of Commerce. And so they have 13 different awards across the province. And so we were nominated as the Community Attraction Award of Distinction based on our community involvement and beautification of the communities we live in and work in right across the province.
And is this the first year BPC Services has been nominated for this?
It is. It's the first time. In 2019, we were awarded the Employer of the Year locally. So it was an honor to be recognized locally for an award, but now on a provincial level is really great.
And how much of an honor is it for BPC Services to be nominated for this?
It's exciting. We've been around for over a decade. So last year we planned on a lot of celebrating the community, celebrating with our customers, and of course with all the restrictions that wasn't able to happen. So we really turned our focus inward to see what we could do as a company to give back to our community without being able to host events. So we did a bunch of upgrades at the Thorpe Recovery Center, volunteered our time and our equipment, putting in lines and helping with the Serenity Garden. We went to Mount Joy locally and installed water lines to upgrade the hill so they could have more runs, more snow, and make it easier on the volunteers. Different community projects like that. When it was a little bit slower, we had an opportunity to give back to the community.
And what exactly is all being recognized, would you say, in BPC Services for this nomination?
I think a lot of it is those projects that we've taken on to give back to the community. We always try to think outside the box. And I mean, we can write checks and sponsor things like so many people do, but we have so many talented people within our company. We can give back in different ways. So we can take our equipment to site, we can install lines and provide those services and improve infrastructures locally. And I mean, really right across the province, we try to reach out if we're working in different communities. We reach out immediately and find out what's going on in town. What can we do? Can we host a barbecue? Can we have first responders appreciations? Can we give back to the community any way we can that way instead of just always writing a check and sponsoring stuff? It's always nice to have feet on the ground.
And how has it been for BPC Services to adapt to COVID-19 last year?
I think we definitely had to pivot our outlook. We over the last year, we've reached out more in the agriculture industry as well. Oil and gas has obviously been slower, but our directional drilling divisions work in diverse areas. Agriculture is one, municipalities, water lines outside of the oil and gas industry. So really leveraging on those industries as well has been helpful for us. And then using those slow days to be able to go out and donate our time and services has been really great.
And do you happen to know when the exact ceremony for businesses receiving this award will be?
They said there'll be some filming. Once they shortlist the awards, then there'll be some filming and talking about our nomination specifically and things that we've done. And then they're hoping to have a ceremony as far as I've been told, but I mean, it all just depends.
Perfect. Well, is there anything else you want to add for residents to know about right now, Trisha?
I just wanted to thank the local Chamber of Commerce as well. We've worked with them over the last few years and we have a great relationship with them and they're a huge supporter of us as well. So big thank you to them for their support.
Well, I just want to say congratulations on receiving this nomination for BPC Services and thanks so much for joining me today, Trisha.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, taking one last look here at your weather forecast. 1 degree heading into tomorrow on Thursday, -9. On Friday, with a chance we could see some snow there. A little bit colder as well, as we're going to see wind chills getting up to around that -25 mark there for Saturday with that high of -12. -8 there on Sunday with possible chance of some more flurries on the way there. 2 degrees on Monday as we start to warm up a little bit more there. The low there of 11 to start the day off. -3 on Tuesday. And then as we wrap up the next 7 days here, we'll be at 0 for Wednesday with clear skies.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great night.